My doctor looked at my cholesterol numbers, then at my face, and asked what I'd had for breakfast that morning. I told them fried bologna and eggs. The silence that followed could have choked a horse. I've been retired longer than he's been alive. They tell you to eat your greens, join a yoga class, and worry about every little number. I'm 87. I mow my lawn in the Florida heat. My 55-year-old neighbor needs a nap after helping me, and I just had a chili dog for lunch. Maybe the secret isn't in the kale. Maybe it's in the not giving a damn. That's what Dr. Evans doesn't get. He sees a chart. I see a life. He pointed to the Silver Sneakers yoga class brochure like it was a life preserver. I tried yoga once, back in '09. Spent 45 minutes trying to get off the floor. My joints sounded like a popcorn machine. Never went back. He talks about inflammation. I think about the satisfaction of a cold root beer after sweating under the sun. The perfect crispness of bacon. The simple joy of a frozen pot pie that costs a quarter. My grocery cart is a scandal. White bread, real butter, the cheap coffee in the red can. It would give a nutritionist a heart attack. Funny thing is, I'm the one who's supposed to be having one. Let's talk about motion, not exercise. Exercise is what you do in a room that smells like sweat and regret. Motion is what happens when you live. My carport is my gym. I fix small engines for pocket money, lawnmowers, weed whackers, the occasional generator. The smell of gasoline and old grease is better than any spa scent. My mailbox is a quarter-mile down the road. I walk there every day, rain or shine. Not for the steps, for the fact that I can. I change my own ceiling fan filters, which involves a ladder and a certain disregard for common sense. The key is to never sit down long enough for the rust to set in. My neighbor, Jerry, he's 55. He helped me move an old teak bench last week. Took us 20 minutes. He went home and needed a 2-hour nap. I went and weeded the flower bed. Then there's the mind. I think stress is worse than sugar. I gave up worrying about the news in 1995. Best decision I ever made. I nap when I feel like it. No guilt, no alarm clock. I say no to anything that sounds like a chore, including most committee meetings and all fundraisers. My biggest health risk these days is probably laughing too hard at my own jokes. You worry about antioxidants. I cultivate anti-boredom. You fret over superfoods. I prioritize super moods. A bad day is fixed with a good sandwich, not a meditation app. Am I telling you to live like me? Hell no. Your body is your own business. But I am saying this. Don't let a magazine or a scared doctor or a fad diet tell you how to live either. I've outlived every expert who told me margarine was better than butter. I've outlived 3 retirement planners. I've seen health crazes come and go like hurricanes. The constant has been this: joy. The joy of a meal you actually want to eat. The joy of a project that makes you lose track of time. The joy of a nap in the afternoon sun with no one to answer to. The proof isn't in a blood test. It's in the doing. It's in the fact that at 87, I still wake up curious about the day, even if that day includes a chili dog. So you do you. Eat the kale if it makes you happy. Run the marathon. But if you see an old man in the grocery store with a cart full of white bread and pot pies, don't pity him. He might just be onto something. He might just be living. And maybe, just maybe, That's the most radical health tip of all. You ever get that look from someone? That look that says, you've just broken every single rule they hold sacred. Well, I get it all the time. Hey everybody, welcome back. My name's Hank. I'm an 87-year-old retired machinist from Florida, and according to just about everyone, I'm doing everything wrong for my age. The proof, though, is in the pudding, or in my case, the bacon. I told my doctor I had a chili dog for lunch last Tuesday, and I swear his face went whiter than his coat. I still mow my own lawn in this heat, and just last week my 55-year-old neighbor Frank had to go take a nap after he helped me move a stone bench. Look, my diet would give a nutritionist a heart attack, and I'm the one who's supposed to be having one. This all came to a head at my last checkup. I'm sitting there in Dr. Evans's office, you know the drill, paper gown and all. He's got my chart up on his screen, and he's pointing at these numbers with the end of his pen. Tap, tap, tap. Hank, he said, your cholesterol is spirited. And these inflammatory markers. He starts in on the lecture about inflammatory breakfast choices. So I confess. I said, Doc, this morning I had 2 slices of fried bologna and 3 eggs sunny side up, cooked in the bologna grease. He just closed his eyes for a second, like he was praying for strength. His big recommendation? That I should join the Silver Sneakers yoga class over at the community center. Now, I tried yoga once back in '09. My daughter dragged me to it. Let me tell you, I spent more time trying to figure out how to get off that darn floor than I did bending. I finally just rolled over onto my side and pushed myself up like a beached whale. Everybody was very polite about it. That pretty much cemented it for me. Their way wasn't my way. And my way, well, it seems to be working just fine. So I figured, if my way works, what is my way? Well, first off, I eat for joy, not for a chart. You should see my grocery cart down at the Winn-Dixie. It's a thing of beauty. Store-brand white bread, the real butter in the silver wrapper, the biggest can of cheap coffee they sell, and those frozen chicken pot pies that are 4 for $1. My daughter just shakes her head. She's all about the quinoa and the air fryer. But I sit down to a pot pie and I'm happy. It tastes like Tuesday. It tastes like normal. Sure, my arteries might be whistling show tunes, but I'm whistling right along with them. That's point 1. Point 2, which is really the big one, is that my secret ingredient is motion, not kale. I don't do workouts, I just do things. I fix small engines in my carport for pocket money, lawnmowers mostly. $10 here, 20 there. I walk to my mailbox, which is a good quarter mile down the road, not for the steps, but because the mail comes. And I still change my own ceiling fan filters, which means I'm up on a step stool, cussing at the latch like I'm 40. The key is to never sit down long enough for the rust to set in. You stop moving, that's when you're done. And that brings me to my third thing, which honestly I think matters more than the food. I think stress is worse than sugar. I gave up worrying about the news back in '95. Just decided I'd had enough of it. I nap when I feel like it, right in my recliner in the middle of the afternoon, and I don't feel one bit guilty about it. And I've gotten real good at saying no to anything that sounds like a chore. Frank asked me to help him organize his garage last month. I said, Frank, that sounds an awful lot like work. I'm retired. He laughed, but I was serious. My biggest health risk these days is probably laughing too hard at my own jokes. I've got a million of them. And look, I'm not telling you to go live exactly like me, but maybe, just maybe, don't let some magazine or some fad tell you exactly how to live either. There's a deep satisfaction in a cold root beer after you've been sweating in the sun, fixing something with your own two hands. There's a freedom in eating a slice of pie for breakfast if you darn well feel like it. And I'll tell you something else. I've outlived them. Every single expert who ever told me what was good for me. All those folks on the TV in the 70s and 80s pointing at their food pyramids and their margarine tubs. They said butter would kill me. They said eat this low-fat, high-carb nonsense. They were so sure. And you know what? I'm still here, eating my real butter on my white bread, and most of them, well, they're not. I'm not saying that to be mean. It just makes you think. It makes you wonder what all that worrying was for. The thing is, when you get to my age, you stop seeing life as a list of inputs and outputs. It's not a spreadsheet. It's more like my old workshop out back. It's cluttered. There are tools I haven't used in years, and some that are worn down to nubs from use. The light's not always great, but it's mine. Every scratch on the bench, every coffee stain, it's all a record of me being there, of me doing something. That's what this feels like, this body, this life. It's got its dents and its rust spots. The knees complain when it rains. But it's still my shop, and I'm still puttering around in it. I think back to my dad. He made it to 92. He smoked a pipe until he was 80, drank a glass of whiskey every night, ate red meat 3 times a week, and his hands. They were steady right up until the end. He died in his garden, you know, not in it, but right after he came in from it. He'd been tying up his tomatoes, sat down in his chair, and that was that. No hospitals, no long, drawn-out thing. I remember standing there at his service, and I wasn't sad about the whiskey or the pipe. I was just hoping I could be that lucky. To go out on my own terms, in my own house, with the smell of something I just fixed or planted still on my hands. That's the trade, I guess. You can spend 40 years eating the blandest, most correct foods, worrying about every new study, trying to cheat death with a treadmill, and you might get an extra year, or 5. But were they good years? Were they tasty years? I don't know. I chose the pot pie. I chose the butter. I chose the nap in the recliner with the game on mute. And I have to believe, deep down, that those choices added something too. Not to the length, maybe, but to the width of it, to the color. So when I sit here now, at 87, and I feel that sun coming through the window, warm on my arm, I'm not thinking about my cholesterol. I'm thinking that I'm here to feel it, and that feels like enough. So when I sit here now, at 87, and I feel that sun coming through the window, warm on my arm, I'm not thinking about my cholesterol. I'm thinking that I'm here to feel it, and that feels like enough. Look, I'm not handing out a prescription. My life isn't a blueprint. But I do think we get so tangled up in the right way that we forget to ask if it's our way. If it makes the days feel good. That's the only thing I'm an expert on, my own days, and mine feel pretty good. If this made any sense to you, go ahead and give the video a like. It lets me know I'm not just talking to my own reflection here. And I'd really like to hear from you down in the comments. Tell me one thing. What's your pot pie? What's that one little joy? Maybe the one people give you side-eye for, that you just won't give up. Could be a food, could be a habit, could be anything. I read them all. And if you want to see what I'm doing wrong next week, whether it's fixing a carburetor or defending the honor of canned beef stew, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for spending some time with me. See you next week.